ॐ विश्वं दर्पणदृश्यमाननगरी तुल्यन्निजान्तर्गतं पश्यन्नात्मनि मायया बहिरिवोद्भूतं यथा निद्रया यस्साक्षात् कुरुते प्रबोधसमये स्वात्मानमेवाद्वयं तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये बीजस्यान्तरिवाङ्कुरो जगदिदं प्राङ्निर्विकल्पं पुनः मायाकल्पितदेशकालकलना वैचित्र्यचित्रीकृतं मायावीव विजृम्भयत्यभिमः योगी वयस्वेच्छया तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्तिः 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 सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम् ॐ पार्थाय प्रतिबोधितां भगवता नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेन ग्रथितां पुराणमुनिना मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीम् अष्टादशाध्यायिनीम् अम्ब त्वामनुसन्दधामि भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणीम् यं ब्रह्मा वरुणेन्द्ररुद्रमरुतः स्तुन्वन्ति दिव्यैस्तवैः वेदैः साङ्गपदक्रमोपनिषदैः गायन्ति यं सामगाः ध्यानावस्थिततद्गतेन मनसा पश्यन्ति यं योगिनः यस्यान्तं न विदुःसुरासुरगणाः देवाय तस्मै नमः देवाय तस्मै Verse 57 यः सर्वत्रानभिस्नेहः तत्तत्प्राप्य शुभाशुभम् नाभिनन्दति न द्वेष्टि तस्य प्रज्ञा प्रतिष्ठिता. So description of a wise person is given here for our sake, for the sake of seekers who want to become wise, who want to enjoy the life ultimately. That is the thing. Because these people are living, transacting with the world, and at the same time, they are free. So that is what we also want. We want to transact with the world, we want to live, yet we want to be free. So then the description of a wise person is given so that we can cultivate those values which makes us ultimately, which make us free ultimately. So yas sarvatra anabhisneha tattat prapya shubhashubham na abhinandati na dveshti tasya prajna pratishtita. So yaha sarvatra means the one who in all situation anabhisneha, in all situation is without attachment. Tat whatever shubhashubham, the pleasant, unpleasant, etc. prapya, while he gaining, na abhinandati, does not rejoice, na dveshti, does not hate, tasya, his prajna, knowledge, is well established. We can say his knowledge is well established in self, means he is well rooted in the self. He has a clarity regarding the self and he is well rooted. So the one who is unattached to all in all situations, who neither rejoices on gaining the pleasant nor hates when he gains unpleasant, his knowledge is well established. That is what he said here. In the previous verse, Bhagavan has used one word, munihi. So munihi, we have seen that mananashilaha, mananat munihi. So, well, definitely muni means a jnani. We are referring to jnani only here, a wise person only, who has a capacity for thinking, and analyzing. And well, he has inquired to Mahavakya also, and he has gained this knowledge. Such a person is said to be unattached to anything. Sarvatra anabhisneha. So, sneha means an affection, a love. And literal meaning of this word sneha, the dhatu is snih, snih dhatu. Snih means to stick or to love. Both meanings are there. So, well, and anything which is viscous, oily, like oil or ghee, etc., all they are called snigdha, snigdha vastu. Snigdha means one which has a capacity to stick. Even this oil, ghee, etc., are called sneha also, that way. So, if you touch it, it sticks to you. So, anything sticky is called sneha. It may be oil, it may be ghee, but such kind of a thing is there in our mind also. Well, and that is the mind has a capacity for loving, showing affection, etc. And so affection is considered as a sneha. This is one of the property of the mind, definitely. So because the person for whom you have affection definitely sticks to you. So even if you are with him, well, definitely your mind is basically sticks to that person. But even if the person is absent, he is away from you, he or she will definitely is always with you in terms of thoughts. So, and not only that, the person's, whatever the condition is there, that also affects him. Like this ghee or oil is basically sticky. That is okay. But then whenever if you take it, if you touch it, so it sticks to you. So the property of that substance becomes your property as though. So definitely the same way, the person to whom you have affection, etc., then definitely his joys and sorrows become your joys and sorrows. So you are also affected by that. So you are definitely deeply affected by that person, and so we call it as so you have a sneha towards that person. You have an affection towards that person because you are affected by his condition. So this is, or we can say between the two people there is a sneha. So they are stick to each other. That's how also we can say. Well, then it's okay, sneha. But Bhagavan has not used the word just sneha, abhisneha. Abhisneha means abhitaha sneha, abhisneha. Abhitaha means more than enough, more than required. More than required, you show the affection. And then mind shows a different type of property. And we generally call then, well, more than required, such a kind of a sneha is there, we call abhisneha, and in English we should translate as a attachment. So abhisneha is basically, sneha is a very good quality and one should have that quality, and jnanis have, in fact, jnani has affection or love for all. But abhisneha means more than required, and that will not be there for all. That will be there for few selected. So more than, so you in terms of this sneha, you have advanced to one particular person or something, few people. So abhisneha is basically a nuisance then. So when a mother has an affection for her child, well, there is not a problem in fact, but because child needs this affection in order to grow well. So to be fondled, to be talked to, and to be listened to, and cared for everything. That's how all this thing is required. When somebody is, growing a child, etc. It is all very much required. So sneha is very much important for child's growth. But what usually happens is, this affection becomes attachment, and the people, the people who do not have this childhood care proper, well, they have a lot of psychological issues when they grow up. And so it is very much important that father, mother, whatever, generally mother shows more. So, but that affection is very, very important. So the child should be talked to. People, they sometimes, they are ignored. So nobody takes care of them. Sometimes you have a babysitter, so you give it to him or her generally, and therefore, you don't care because you have gone for a job, etc. And so that creates a problem. So, but then when affection becomes an attachment, then attachment means there is a strangulation of some kind. And instead of being an object of your affection, the person becomes an object of to be controlled. So now, instead of affection towards that person, mere love towards the person, if you start controlling the person, if you start possessing the person, you feel that that person is under your possession, then definitely it is no more an affection. It is not a just a sneha, it is abhisneha. And the person towards, you have that attachment towards a particular person, that person feels strangulation all the time. He feels suffocated. And then you should know that, you have an attachment towards that person. So this is a object of love becomes an object for controlling, object of possession. And this need to control is very common. It's common problem everywhere. And it is also must be a very old problem, because Bhagavan address here, Abhisneha is telling, so attachment etc. only is bringing this kind of a problem. And so this problem must have been there. So, but such kind of an attachment is not there. Yaha sarvatra anabhisneha. Not abhisneha, anabhisneha. He does not, who is unattached in all the sarvatra. So in all situations. So definitely, he does not have an emotional attachment towards anything. He is always free. It is always free in his own place. So he has a love for all, but no emotional attachment towards anybody. We should say this much. And generally, we have emotional attachment or just an attachment towards many, many things. And therefore, towards a bank balance, towards few people, towards a carpet, towards furniture. Yeah, towards carpet also I may have an attachment. Towards furniture also I may have such kind of an attachment. And how can you say, Swamiji, how will I know whether I have attachment towards my furniture or carpet? How will I know? You feel it is your possession. And so anybody does not, will not use, does not use properly, let's say, then your heart definitely gets a pain. And therefore you don't like that the way your carpet has been used by somebody else. And therefore it's like some guests have come and they just walk inside and they have shoes etc. And they even walk with those shoes and on the carpet, and you feel really suffocated with that. So this, and anything towards car, towards any object, any person also. That's why if you have a attachment towards, emotional attachment towards a particular person, you feel the other person is showing a possession toward that person, you feel immediately insecure. This is all issues. These are all issues happening. So this is so many places we have this kind of an attachment. And this person who is free from this kind of an attachment, this wise person is free from this attachment. Even it is happening to our own body also. The person who has a wound, especially involving pain and little swelling etc., will look at the wound every few minutes and make it even and touch it also, and sometimes little stroke it also little gently etc., because there is pain of course, and a lot of healing activity of course is going on. But the wound receives the person's attention fully, love and attention. So he constantly touches it, etc., etc. So the mind, goes towards that particular thing. The whole system naturally, wants to basically fight it out, and will certainly not allow the mind to dwell upon anything. So if you have an attachment, your mind will not be able to dwell upon the meaning of Upanishad and Jeev Brahma Ikyam and Brahman is Sachidananda and how then Atma also is Sachidananda, because mind is right here. Whole, because there is an attachment towards your own body, definitely. And therefore mind will not be available. If the attachment is there, abhisneha is there, mind is not available for dwelling upon this knowledge. So you won't be able to gain knowledge. And even if you have gained knowledge, you will not have a nishtha, definitely not, because of this attachment. So the wise person is free from that. And so our attachment is towards many places, including heaven, etc. This is all Vedic times they talk even about heaven, because the people will have a lot of Kshatriyas especially were having a attachment, this kind of attachment for heaven, etc. Well, but wise person is not attracted by any of this. Such a person may have a love, friendship, affection, care. You will see all this in wise people, but nothing more than that. So nothing more. Abhitaha. Abhitaha means nothing more than that. So will not be there. So that's how abhi is added to that sneha. Well, the ignorant people, they have more than required. So, and Bhagavan definitely, and so even in the, it is Upanishads and Bhagavad Gita also shows there are some instances where you see that affection is there but no attachment. How will you know, Swamiji, that in Upanishad it is there? In Upanishad there are certain, words used for other person. Suppose that Krishna has used, definitely had affection for the Arjuna when he said, "Oh my friend, bhaktosi me sakha cheti rahasyam he taduttanam." Well, I am, oh dear friend, I am teaching you all this, I am showing you all this rahasyam. Rahasyam is this Upanishad. I am giving you this secret, top secret, open secret as such, of course. But I am teaching you that regarding Atma, etc. Well, because you are my devotee and you are my good friend, bhaktosi, tam bhaktasi, tam sakhasi, etc. That shows affection too. And many places, this is one of the example. If you read Bhagavad Gita, you will find at many places Bhagavan clearly shows his affection towards Arjuna. Even I think in 11th chapter also he said that this Vishwarupa Darshana is not available for each and everyone. Even the yogis don't get this, and upasakas don't get the darshana of Vishwarupa, etc. But you are my devotee, etc. And so I am showing this Vishwarupa, etc. Very clear affection is shown. And he talked to him also. If you see the way he addresses him, very fondly addresses. So many way he addresses, and that shows his love towards or affection towards Arjuna. Very clear. And Upanishads also it is there. Like Sadeva Somya Damagra Asit Ekameva Dvitiyam Sata Somya Tada Sampanno Bhavati, etc. etc. Hey Somya, O pleasing one, like that. Uddalaka tells to his son, O pleasing one, Hey Somya, Sadeva Somya Damagra Asit, etc. There in the 6th chapter beginning itself, you will find this kind of thing when Uddalaka starts teaching Shvetaketu. So he shows his love by this address, Hey Somya, O pleasing one, etc. And very well known is our Yajnavalkya. Atmavare drashtavya, shrotavya, mantavya. Are, oh dear. Are, the meaning of are is dear. Oh dear. Hey, oh dear Maitreyi, etc. Atmavare drashtavya. So Atma should be seen and listened to, etc. etc. Oh dear. So that shows the affection. But then Swamiji must have attachment because he is basically a husband, right? No. Navare patyuk kamaya patipriyo bhavati. Navare, oh dear. Even though I am telling you that you are very dear to me, but Navare patyuk kamaya patipriyo bhavati. Well, you are not dear for your own sake, since you are dear to myself, because I really love my own self. So that clearly says. But he addresses, oh dear Maitreyi. And then he says, well, you are not dear for your own sake, Just because you are my wife, that's how you are dear to me. No. Atmanastu kamaya sarvam priyam bhavati. Well, I love myself more than anything else. And therefore you are dear to me because I love myself. Etc. etc. I mean, so that is why very clear that affection is there. That's how in address it is there. But then very clear that there is no attachment. In fact, Yagnavalkya wanted to leave. And so he was asking a permission from both the wives. So there is no attachment. If attachment is there, you cannot live like that way. So this is kind of a attachment helps attachment will not help the person, and especially to a mumukshu. For jnani it has all become mithya. It is not a question at all. We are discussing so that we are interested in order to be a wise person. Well, and for that, so mumukshu, this kind of attachment will never help, because towards an object of attachment, definitely your whole mind will be involved, and then mind is not available for any thinking regarding this Atma, etc. So the verse also tells that this wise person does not dance. So the wise person, does not dance for joy over desirable situations, or detest over undesirable situations. So Shubha Shubham Tat Tat Prapya Na Abhinandati Na Dveshti. Shubha Shubham Prapya Tat Tat Prapya. Shubham means which is good, auspicious, pleasant, etc. Desirable. Ashubham, which is undesirable, bad, etc. Unauspicious, etc. you can say. And so, Shubha Shubham Prapya Tat Tat Prapya means in the face of both. Whenever you get this such a situation, either pleasant or unpleasant, na abhinandati, na dveshti. In both the situations, he's not affected. Now, actually, this kind of a thing for jnani, it is a very, very, it is spontaneous, this kind of a thing. But it starts actually at the level of a karma yoga. If you remember, we have discussed in Karma Yoga this that whenever Samatvam Yoga Uchyate, when we were discussing that topic, we discussed also the sameness towards the situation which you obtain as a karma phala. And both the kinds of situation will be there, definitely pleasant and unpleasant, favorable, unfavorable. Both kind of situations will be there. At that time, he has that sameness, looking at the situation as as a prasada from the Lord, because ultimately what you gain as a karma phala is by the laws of karma, and Ishvara is a karma phala data. His laws are non-separate from him, and therefore definitely he alone is giving you karma phala, and therefore it is a prasada, etc., etc. That is the one thing. But then second thing is, what is actually good for me and what is bad, I should not decide. Because it happens many times that what I consider as a good turns out to be very bad. One of the example I can give is, the parents tell to sometime children, of course grown-up children, now who have an age of marrying, etc. And parents tell that please don't marry to such and such girl or to such and such boy. And sometimes this children don't agree with that. And they think that parents do not know. They think, I will marry to this person will be good to me. And they marry. And many times it happens that it turns out to be otherwise. And now, and then they definitely repent. So you may think that something is good for me or something is bad for me. Well, ultimately, what it turns out to be something other than what you think of. So, because any karma phala has many causes. We have discussed few things, and therefore, what we think of as because we have a limited knowledge. So, what the situation comes to us, we look to that situation from certain angle, and therefore it happens that basically it may happen so that it turns out to be different because you are not aware of all the facets of a given situation. Like in marriage, I have told you regarding that. And sometime, from India, they send the children. Well, of course, they don't have much money still. Sometime, whatever. I mean, they do lot of they struggle and then send the children for study, etc., to the United States, etc. And then it's a single child, and they send. That's okay because parents want that he should progress, etc. And when he studies and etc., and then he settles here, marries to some girl, other than Indian, etc. That is also fine, everything fine. But when parents need the child and they call, this boy says, I don't have time, I don't get leave, etc. That person he takes a leave for a fortnight and goes to Hawaii. But to serve a parent, well, he is not ready. At that time, well, that parent starts thinking. We were thinking that, we should send a child to United States. It is good for him, etc. And it's good for us also. And ultimately, because economically our situation would be better, etc. Whatever. And it would be good because he may return and then he will get a good job, etc. And therefore, let him go study, etc. And so the father was thinking it is a very good thing to send him. And father's brother was telling, don't send him, we have a good business here. And he let him share his hand here. We can progress further, we can grow our business, etc. No. That's good for him, let me send him. And now the same father repents. Same father. That's what this is happening in many, many situations. What I consider as a Shubham turns out to be Ashubham. And what I consider as a Ashubham turns out to be Shubham. Then definitely this is how, so that is how in Veda, there is a beautiful prayer. It's actually at the end of a Chakshusha Upanishad, it appears there. Om Vishwani Deva Savitar Duritani Parasuva Yad Bhadram Tanna Asuva. So basically, it's a prayer to the Ishvara that we don't know what is good for me and what is bad for me. You only decide. O Vishwani Deva Savitar Duritani, He Savitaha Devaha. Because there is a prayer to Aditya. Because Chakshusha Upanishad, basically I have told you once that it is a prayer to Aditya, especially for your eyes. So Savitaha Devaha, O Aditya Devata, O Ishvara, in the form of Aditya, Vishwani Duritani Parasuva, Vishwani, Sarvani. All this Duritani, what you consider as Ashubham, Duritam, Parasuva, take away, Yad Bhadram. What is Bhadram? What is Shubham? Tanna Asuva, you bring in my life the situations which you consider as a good. So Shubham and Ashubham I am not going to decide because it will turn out to be otherwise. Because I have very limited knowledge. But you are Sarvajnaha, you are all knowledge, Sarvajnaha, and you are omnipotent, omniscient, and therefore you decide what is Shubham and Ashubham, etc. for me and send accordingly in my life. So this is a prayer in Veda. Of course, so that's how the Karma Yogi basically develops an attitude of a sameness towards Shubham and Ashubham, looking a hand of Ishvara into both kinds of situation. What you may expect that this is Shubham, and you may do karma also accordingly, but it may turn out to be something contrary. Still you accept, still you have a sameness of attitude, etc. because you see the hand of Karma Phaladata. Because he thinks this is not Shubham what you are thinking of. What I am sending you as a situation is basically Shubham. You may consider as a Ashubham with your limited knowledge, but it is not. So this is how a beautiful prayer in Veda also seems to, and that is what the Sharanagati means. I have told you once, Ramanujacharya's one of the Shodha Sharanagati means 6 types of surrenders. One of this is this. Anukulyasya sankalpaha pratikulyasya varjana. Anukulyasya sankalpaha. I mean whatever is anukulam, whatever you think as anukulam, hey Ishvara, well, that should become anukulam to me. Whatever you see as a favorable, I will also see as a favorable. I will not see as unfavorable, etc. So such a attitude, what in Sthita Prajna, it is just a spontaneous expression. That Ashubham and Ashubham both he gains, but he will not have that kind of a in his mind that this is Shubham, etc. It may happen so that anything which he through his vasanas, etc., he may feel that this is comfortable or favorable or this is pleasant, that may appear in his mind. Don't think at all that, but immediately it resolves. Immediately it resolves. For a jnani, being mithya, all these situations being mithya, so it immediately resolves. And don't think it Shubham does not appear in him as anything which is pleasant outside and may bring a certain pleasantry in his mind also, but definitely he is not affected by it. So yas sarvatra anabhisneha tattat prapya shubham. So he neither rejoices and so nabhinandati nadveshti, whenever tattat prapya shubham means whenever he gets such a situation, pleasant or unpleasant, he neither rejoices on gaining the pleasant or nor hates the unpleasant. So this is what it says here. So wise person will remain same, and karma yogi tries to remain same. He is developing an attitude. That's what the difference between the two. He has to put an effort. Karma yogi has to see the hand of Ishvara, etc., and he brings the attitude of sameness towards both the types of situation. So it is for a karma yogi, it's a matter of a attitude born of understanding, and in that understanding, definitely the understanding of Ishvara as a karma phaladata is involved. Other than that, it is very difficult to resolve the just opposite situation, and they arise in our life, we know very well, and yet to keep a sameness and that coolness, etc., is not that easy. But if you bring Ishvara, I have told you, Ishvara is one who is really a cushion for this kind of things, and it is not a imagination, it's a fact. And so for Karma Yogi, it's a matter of an attitude to bring the sameness, etc., with it is born of understanding. Whereas for a Jnani, it is a natural, spontaneous expression. But if it is there, then only this becomes spontaneous. It is not that overnight it becomes a spontaneous. It is not so. So what you have cultivated, that's how they say. The knowledge takes place in such a person who is basically a Karma Yogi. For him only, he has developed all this attitude with a good understanding. Then, he gains a nishtha also. He gains jnanam. Of course, very first thing he gains jnanam. And then he gains nishtha also, because situations will keep on coming like this, pleasant and unpleasant, but will not affect him. And ultimately, his knowledge is not affected, well established, and he is called Sthita Prajna. And in his commentary on this verse, the Bhashyakara confirms that one who remains the same in the face of tattat prapya, means in the face of both pleasant and unpleasant situations, is well established in knowledge. Tasya prajna pratishtita. So his knowledge is well established. So this person is basically free from the swings of joy and sorrow, elation and depression, etc. So this is how it has been discussed here. And definitely, of course, here in Jnani's case, it is born of Atmanatma Viveka, discrimination between the real and unreal. That's the main thing. Ultimately, I have told you, even in the mind, see, people think that, the Sthita Prajna means nothing affects, means he is like a stone. He is not a stone. A conscious being cannot become inert. Then definitely I will be the first person not to pursue this knowledge. A conscious being becomes inert because inert thing is totally unaffected by any kind of opposites. So don't think he is a conscious being, and therefore being a conscious, definitely he will experience all these things, pleasant and unpleasant, everything, and accordingly mind will also have that kind of vrittis also, corresponding vrittis also will be there. But entire mind has become anatma now. Entire mind is basically unreal for such a person, and that's how he is not affected. Anything turns out to be unreal for you, you will not be affected. Like you are not affected by the rope snake. That is the situation we have to think. We should not think in his mind such pleasant, unpleasant thing does not occur at all. Never think so. Otherwise, you will always feel this being a Sthita Prajna will be, if it's such a pleasant, unpleasant thing does not happen in mind, then his mind is like a stone. So don't think that kind of a thing. And the conscious being cannot become inert, the very first thing. Inert cannot become conscious, and conscious cannot become inert. We should have a very, this clarity we should have. So Krishna describes, the same person, further also in this verse. And in these two verses, basically, if you remember the question of Arjuna, Sthita Prajna se ka bhasha, etc. in that, ultimately there was a question, kim asita, kim vrajeta, kim prabhasheta, etc. Means how this wise person interacts with the world. So this verse which we have studied just now, that shows he transacts with the world in this way. I mean, when he is transacting with the world, then definitely both the types of situations come, shubham, ashubham, etc. Na abhinandati, na dveshti, etc. He is not elated by a pleasant situation. He does not hate a situation which is unpleasant, etc. So all this shows that while transacting with the world, he interacts in this fashion. He has that kind of a response towards towards the world. So this is one verse. Now second verse which we are going to see, that also is an answer to the question of Arjuna, that basically while transacting with the world, what he does. Or some of the acharyas says no, that's it. Now the verse 58 is an answer to the question of Arjuna called kimasit. Now how does he sit? Means if he is not transacting with the world, then how does he sit? Means what is his status at that time? If he transact, that has been shown in verse 57, but in verse 58 it has been shown that how does he sit, means how does when he does not transact with the world, what is his status, etc. Then that's what has been discussed in verse 58, whatever way we look upon. But basically this is a question, this is the answer to the question of Arjuna. Let's read that. Yada samharate chayam kurmonganiva sarvashah indriyani indriyarthebhyah tasya prajna pratisthita. So yada, and then if you see yada samharate chayam, so you separate that cha and put in the front. We are connecting these two verses. Cha means on end. Cha is basically used for samuchaya. Samuchaya arthe cha, they call like this. Samuchaya means combining. What are you combining? We are combining verse 57 and verse 58. Why are you combining? Because that's an answer. Answer for what? Arjuna's question. What is the question of Arjuna? I have already told you, right? How does he transact with the world? So Bhagavan is giving answer to that question in two verses. So both the answers should be combined. And for combination, in Sanskritam we have a word cha. It's a particle, it doesn't, and it's indeclinable. So there are no forms. Like now Ram, like we have a word Rama, it's a Pratipadikam, then Rama, Ramaha. So here cha is there, and therefore cha, chau, cha, yes, etc. There are no forms like that. So basically it's an indeclinable. Rama is a word which is declinable. Anyway, so this verse, as I told you, is also in a response to Arjuna's question. So wise person's capacity, to manage his or her mind and senses, it has been told here in this verse. So a person may have a jnanam, but for that knowledge to be steady well, one must be able to withdraw the sense organs from the sense pursuits. It's very much required. So although the senses themselves are not harmful, they are referred to as villains, by the Shastra and by ourselves also. I will tell you the reason. It's really a tricky thing. Actually, the sense organs, senses themselves are not turbulent unless they are contaminated. And because the sense organs are made, given to the human being, to any living being, of course, but then let's talk about human being. The sense organs are given to a human being for what? Because they are basically reporters. We tell also, we use these words, sense organs bring data from the world. So if they are giving data, it's very essential. So they keep reporting because it's their nature to report. And that's how they are tools in our hand. Not only sense organs, and mind also, and intellect also. All the three are basically tools. That's how we call them as a karana. Karanam means instrument. So they are instruments. And so they are very helpful by bringing data. So they are basically reporting. Reporting is their job. And eyes tell you what is there. What is the form? Well, and then if it is a sentence, well, eyes will read for you. Very essential. Sometimes, all the instructions if you go in on an airport or anywhere, even if you are going by car to some place, definitely your eyes become so helpful. They bring a data because there are all kinds of instructions. Well, you have to read accordingly. Read, and that will be useful to us. A particular color or knowledge also they will bring, but that will be helpful to us. So much. So the same way ears also, same way nose also, and same way our tongue, same way the skin. All these, they are reporters. But these reporters are basically, attacked by enemies, and they become the base for the enemies. Like in Jammu and Kashmir, certain districts of Jammu and Kashmir are very, very notorious, we say. Why? Because there this terrorists have a base. One of the name I remember right now is a Shopian. It has become so, infamous. Shopian means definitely you will have to be more careful, because in that place there are so many terrorists. Shopian is a base for the terrorist. There are some other places also in Jammu and Kashmir. So what I am saying is, same way we have a Shatru, we have also enemies basically. And for that, those enemies have a three bases in our body. And that has been told in the verse 40 of the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 3. And that is told, Indriyani manobuddhihi asya adhishthanam uchyate. Adhishthanam means base. Indriyani manobuddhihi asya shatroho kamasya. Because there the discussion is regarding kama only. And therefore, avrutam jnanametena jnanino nityavairina. Just previous verse 39. Avrutam jnanametena. For this jnani, this is a nityavari. Nityavari means all the time he is a shatru. Because this kama basically avrutam. It covers what? Jnanam. And therefore, even if he has gained so much of knowledge regarding, he is studying Upanishads and this and very well, but he could not gain nishtha, because this kama is very, very predominant in the person. And so it covers his knowledge, his wisdom. So basically, and then Bhagavan says these are the three bases. So the Shatru moves in these three bases. Like the terrorists move in the various places in the Jammu and Kashmir in order to be not become a target from a military or a police. So they keep moving here and there. But certain fixed pockets, not everywhere. Same way, these three are the bases. So it's the same reporters which they bring generally all this kind of information or the data, which is very useful. But once this terrorist come to that place, that our kama etc. enters to that eyes, then it shows some different thing. Its behavior becomes different. What it does, it does exactly a job of our television. Exactly that job they do. If you remember, when you see, especially, I remember if you watch a cricket, the tournaments, etc., and you are seeing one day matches, our World Cup, etc., all that, you will find often they show advertisements. It may be for 10 seconds or 20 seconds or 15 seconds because it's very costly. On per second they have to pay. So, the price, and therefore it is a very short, but it keeps coming. And sometimes it happens so that, they, when you are, seeing and, when you are watching this match, the volume is of a one, set to a particular thing of the TV volume. When advertisement comes, suddenly the volume is so high. So if you are even away, suppose you also have gone for taking water, etc., because it's a break now. And so you also go to the kitchen for drinking water and this. But you cannot escape that advertisement because they automatically increase the volume. So our senses become like television. They all the time, like television shows an advertisement for few seconds. They keep coming. They keep coming. Same way, sense organs, when they are attacked by this kama, they show certain objects again and again, again and again. To whom? To the mind. To the mind it shows. And means, please take it. Please take it. Please take it. Please take it. Please listen it. Please listen it. Please listen it. Please touch it. Please touch it. Please touch it. Please taste it. It's an object of joy. Take it. It's an object of joy. Take it. Just like, exactly like advertisement. Senses, television is a beautiful thing, but it becomes nuisance. When they show advertisement again and again, it becomes nuisance. Same way, these sense organs are basically reporters. They give you data, very essential. Your life is running from that data. Please understand that. If sense organs are not there, and therefore no report to this human being, I don't think he will survive. All the 5 sense organs are not there. I have not seen such a person till today. But if all the sense organs are not there, person cannot function. But Swami, does it happen? It happens. In coma, etc., this happens. That no sense organ function. So we say he's, having a life, etc. He's alive, but he is not living. As Pujya Swamiji, I bring those, I have all these borrowed words from Pujya Swamiji. He is alive, of course. He is in coma, but he is alive, but he is not living a life. So that is how it is. Anyway, but he is surviving or not? Yeah, he is surviving. But no sense organs are there. But then you give external support, right? You attach some drip, etc. Otherwise, it is impossible. It's impossible. Without sense organ, person cannot survive. And therefore, basically, they are good. They are reporters. We should not blame them. We should not call them villains. But they become the base for adhishthanam for the shatrus. What are the shatrus? Ragadvesha. Or in one word, we have already told, kamaha, desire. So either you say kamaha or you say ragadvesha, whatever. Or let's say fancy. Ragadveshas are fancy. How can you call fancy? How can you call fancy? It's a fancy. What you like, I don't like. What you like, other 100 people don't like. Then it's a reality or it's a fancy? It's a fancy. What you don't like, I like. Not me alone. There are 200, 2000 people, they also don't like. But somehow you say, I like. So this is all fancy. So this is, Ragadvesha has no base. Really speaking, Ragadvesha is purely Jivasrushti. Ragadveshas cannot stand when person enters into Ishvara Srushti. Really. And therefore, and still as I told you, they may be there in a Jnani, etc. We have talked. But now I don't want to enter into the topic. They are there, but non-binding, etc. We have discussed when we started this section. And but why even non-binding should be there? He was earlier he was ignorant, and therefore certain ragadveshas still continue, but they doesn't have any hold over that person, because basically he has removed the ignorance, he has gained the knowledge, and therefore now ragadveshas are not they are burden to that person. Anyway, so this is one of the thing. And when sense organs report all the time, this is good for your security, good for your joy. If they keep on reporting all the 5 sense organs, well, then definitely mind starts dwelling upon. And when mind starts dwelling upon, means that same karma which was earlier in the eyes or in the ears, etc., in the sense organs, now has entered into mind. So we call sense organs as a villains because they are the gateways for the fences to enter. And therefore that sense organs have to report again and again. To report again and again, sense organs has to, without partiality, sense organs report everything. You see this thing also and you see this thing also, right? Both the things you see. But my eyes again go to this object again and again. Why? Because that Shatru has entered into the eyes. That Kama has entered, Ragadvesha has entered, fancy has entered, and under its spell, the eyes see the object again and again. The eyes see an object that is correct, but then eyes basically is reporting to mind, this object, and also reports with coloration, right? Ragadvesha means coloration. Raga means basically color. Ranjanat Raga. That's how they say. Ranjana means basically you color. Originally it doesn't have, it may have another value. Objective value may be different. But now after coloration, it has a different value. If you color your car, which is basically very old, and people would not give, it would not fetch even $300. But if you color it, you may get $3,000. I don't know. So this is how it is. So that people sometime before selling the house, they color so that they get extra value. This is how it is. So it has objective value, one thing, and that is being reported by the eye. Just that this is a mobile and this has this usage, etc. But basically something more in the data goes to the mind through the Kama, which is already there in the sense organs. It's a very good, etc., etc. We should have it. Then we can see for this YouTube's what is that, WhatsApp and this and that. Anyway, whatever. So all this data goes and to the mind. Mind may not register immediately. Mind has basically, it needs many times this exposure, and then it works. Then mind starts dwelling upon, right? And then from mind, that Kama, and after a long dwelling of the mind, basically buddhi, our intellect says, yes, that's the correct thing. This is the source of security. This is the source of joy. The judgment has to be given. Mind cannot judge. The sense organs cannot judge. Judgment means nishchay. Nishchayatmika buddhi. So intellect will tell you that this is an object of joy and object of security, whatever. And then you go for it. So this is how these 3 bases are there for the fences, for the Kama, for the Ragadvesha. And for that reason we tell, the senses also as a villain. We can tell our mind also as a villain. We can tell our intellect also as a villain, because it becomes a base for the Shatru to hide there. And that is how we say that. Anyway, so sense organs, even the mind also is helpful to do sankalpa, vikalpa, etc. Mind is a seat of emotions, which is very essential. Intellect is where place where the decision takes place. All is very important. So all the three are instruments, but they become villain because they are the base for this Shatru. Anyway, we'll see something more in this verse on Monday. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.